Yeah?
I think so.
What do you mean? No, we're not going through this entire thing.
Yes, it's recording.
It's recording.
6 seconds.
Okay.
Seconds.
Okay. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another pretty highly requested video. This one is going to be about Rebecca and myself, the couple's job, what it's been like, how easy is it to get a couple's job, and involving Rebecca a little bit more in this one. So in that case, Rebecca hasn't been in very many of my videos, which has been a complaint from...
First feature.
This is not your first feature, there's a whole bunch, but first yachting feature.
The first one was when I nudged you out the way and you were trying to get the...
And then you can see we're grabbing the fenders there from Becca.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, people were seriously upset about you saying that you completely dissed me and didn't give me the fender.
I was trying to work, not all of us are like videographers.
Yeah, okay, no, fair enough. Today's going to be about couples videos, talking about just Rebecca and I as a couple.
Videos.
Yeah, what?
Couples videos.
Couples positions on boats. Today's video is going to be on couples positions on board yachts, how we got it, sort of our little history because we've been working together before, and just dealing with, I think, two sets, like dealing it from the perspective of actually getting a job as a couple and what that's like, and then a whole nother thing which is actually working together as a couple, because I think they're pretty different. All right, let's kick it off.
Okay.
No. Let's kick it off means intro.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Well, we're gonna kick it off anyway.
Yo, where you at? Yeah, I'm already down here.
Let's get it going.
Okay, so finding a job.
Finding a job as a couple. Let's step back and go, you and I are working together for two and a half years. Well, Rebecca and I had worked together. It was a big deal for the crew on board because a lot of couples that have maybe just got together or they hadn't worked together before, it's quite a high stress environment. We'd been used to high stress environments, which was working in real estate industry. So we were sort of used to working together, and that meant a lot for the crew because it meant that we knew how to manage our relationship and work. So I'll move past that and we'll come back to it, but I think it's pretty important.
Becca's driving, I'm cuddling with them, doing so cuddling.
The first part is, do couples jobs actually exist? They obviously do because we're on a boat, but they're very scarce. So it's like, a lot of people will say, we're going yachting, will we find a job as a couple? Is like the main
big
concern.
time. As green crew, like people that have never been in the industry before wanting to know, like, are they going to get a job?
I'm going with my boyfriend yachting, is what I normally get. Do you think we'll find a job? And I'm like,
yeah.
How do I answer?
Yeah. If you were an individual single and never had a girlfriend, like, I can't guarantee you a job in this industry.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, is that it's...
You're never guaranteed a job.
You're never guaranteed a job. It's such a high competitive industry where everybody's trying to hustle to get the job. So it's really tricky. Now you're trying to bring your girlfriend or your boyfriend into it, and you're trying to get a job on the same boat, where, you know, there might not be two vacancies, or there are. So what you're really doing is you're just dropping your hireability massively if that's all that you're focusing on is a job as a couple. So I think Rebecca and I, there's no real easy way to say this to the couples that are watching this video, because, you know, we were willing, kind of, I say this kind of, but we were willing to potentially take a job apart if it meant that we were going to in future have the chance to work together.
So I think the first thing is like, yes, couples jobs do exist, obviously.
They do exist.
And we have a job, we know another couple that has a job, but if you don't have experience, the chances of you getting a couple's job is very slim. So couple's jobs normally, because there's so few, they can be very picky about the couple that they're going to employ.
Big time.
So they'll choose couples that have experience over green people because they can.
Yeah.
Because they can be selective.
Yeah. Usually couple's jobs generally range from somebody that's like an officer and then bringing in a stew or a cook or something like that. That's something that you find more, but hiring two brand new green crew members
or like
is super
captain
unusual.
and chef. So
Correct,
like those will normally be the most common in, I think.
For sure, big time. But I think, you know, for me it was easier because I'd had a year and a half of experience on yachts. So that was like my experience. I was hireable. Rebecca and I needed to show her side of it. She had done some work before and come from an industry that helped her. So it was one of those where we got very lucky.
And we had a connection in the industry.
Yeah, but we got lucky.
Which was lucky.
We got lucky. When I say we got lucky, I wasn't hired off my CV or Rebecca's CV. We were hired off being spoken to on the dock. We were dock walking together as a couple, and we went to, and the irony is I only made you dock walk because she had never dock walked before, and I had enough experience to not need to dock walk. But I was like, you're gonna dock walk, we're starting at the bottom and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we ended up on the same dock twice,
Well,
which is the reason why we ended up getting noticed.
We didn't get lucky with dock walking because none of the boats were interested. But we were talking to one of Jared's friends.
Yeah.
And then someone saw us talking to him who knew him, and they were possibly looking for people. And they were like, oh, what's the deal with those people that we've seen them dock walking? What's their story? So it was only because we knew someone and they knew someone. So
Yeah.
it was like,
For sure.
so
But I mean,
connections are very important.
even on this boat, I wasn't hired as a new crew member. I was hired to be the mate/deck on board this boat. So if I had never had any experience, would we have got this job? I don't know. You know, so my thing to you guys is you need to realize you're coming into one of the most competitive industries and you're trying to get a job as a couple. There's a large possibility you're going to have to work apart, gain a year's experience, and then try to look for jobs as a couple on another boat.
Also, once you're on a boat, positions become available. So when you're working on there, it's going to be easier for you to be working, stewardess job came available, can I give you my girlfriend's CV? That's going to be more likely than coming fresh into the industry, dock walking and finding a job together. Like, we're a very unusual case. This does not normally happen.
Big time. I mean, also in your case, you were hired as a deck stew on this boat, which was like assisting inside and assisting outside, and then something unfortunate happened and she was fired and Rebecca was promoted to like sole stew on this boat. So it's one of those where like things just kind of unfolded and we became very close friends with the crew and with the captain, and the owner invited us back. So it was like once we were in, we were in. But in order to get in is by far the hardest part.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And you need to ask yourself, like, am I willing to work separate to my partner
Big
in order
time.
to get the job? Because
Big time.
there is a very high likelihood that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So people who are married will ask me, I'm married and I'm, we've been together for so many years and we'll be able to find a job together. Like, there is no guarantee. So if you're not willing to be separate at all, then you shouldn't be considering this. That's just the harsh reality.
100%. Okay, so I think we pretty much outlined, yes, the jobs are available, but they're super, super slim, and the less experience you have, the less chance you have to get a job as a couple, big time. So if you want to come in as a couple, really try your best to get experience first, separate, or be willing to work separately, and then start from there. I'd say that's yeah? Okay.
Okay, the
Moving on.
second point was why are people adverse to hiring couples? Like, why would there be an issue with hiring couples? And I think ultimately it's because it can create conflict within the crew.
But I think it's willing to really mention here that's never happened because we understand being professional and like working as a couple.
So we've been together for almost 4 years and we've worked together pretty much our entire relationship. So we're used to being professional and being in a relationship, but for people who aren't used to that, I can see why it would be quite challenging to be in a work environment and maintain a level of professionalism, because you have to be very professional on board super yachts, and then still trying to deal with conflict and not get involved with pettiness and try not have arguments and bring your spouse into it. So if you've got an issue with someone, you have to try and keep it between you and that person and not involve other people, like your spouse. And that's been one of the main things that we've heard from people, why they wouldn't want to hire a crew. We've heard from captains who have said, like, no, I don't do that. It just brings a lot of drama. That's general stigma.
Imagine Becca having an argument because she just goes
confrontation.
dead quiet when it comes
I don't do confrontation.
So Becca doesn't do confrontation. So this is really not talking about us. But the biggest thing when we were hired was one of the crew members that was on this boat said, I'll never work with couples. And I think the reason why that is because couples are going to look after couples. They're going to protect one another. If there is conflict amongst each other, it generally becomes favorite. Like, you become favorites.
And then also, aside from like one of us having conflict with another crew member, if we have conflict with each other, so we don't ever fight. Like, our fights last like 2 seconds and then we're over it. But if we were in a non-mature relationship and we were people who argued a lot, it would create a very tense environment for other crew to be around. Obviously, you're not going to want to be around people who are arguing or upset with each other or down. Like, your morale impacts your entire crew because you're constantly living together and working together, especially on smaller boats. So for people who, like, if I'm a captain and you're coming to me for a job, I don't know what your relationship is like. I don't know how often you fight. There's a lot of risk in that sort of aspect.
The advantage of it, though, on the other hand, is that in our case, I think it's fair to say one of the reasons that we are really back here this year is because we're in a couple's position and we really don't take it for granted. We will do whatever it takes, in this case, or we did, especially in the beginning, to make sure that we secured that couple's job and made it, like, worked really hard because we didn't want to potentially lose it. So in our case, we had a lot more to lose in a couple's position.
So it could be, some boats see it as a positive thing, but a lot of them don't want to have to risk dealing with couple drama.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And that's why, well, basically why I think people don't really employ a lot of couples.
I think we'll move on from that one because that was just a short little subject. I think now it's like, okay, you're a couple, you got a job. Now what's it like to work with each other on a yacht? Because the thing is, Rebecca and I have walked door to door knocking on people's houses to try and sell them. We sold like 100 million rands worth of property, so we got it right. But the truth is, that was a high stress environment. This is a high stress environment, but now you're working in one place. This is only a 34-meter boat and the crew area is like this big. So you're working in that space, you're living in that space, you're sleeping in that space, you're waking up, you're working out, you're doing everything in a space that's like this big. So, you know, that's different. You used to go to the gym if you were angry at me when we used to work in South Africa. So it's like one of those things where you just can't get away from each other. You got to sort shit out if there's a problem. So
if you like your own space, maybe think twice about working on a yacht with your spouse.
Maybe it is better working apart.
You don't have your own space.
Yeah, 100%. So I think we're fortunate once again because, like I said, we've always lived together, always worked together pretty much from like really early stages in our relationship. But
so
what's it like?
Before we came on the boat, we knew we could be in each other's space all the time.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't affect our relationship.
Yeah.
That being said, it is really challenging because you're constantly being professional. Like I said, it's a very professional job. And there's a line between we're working together, okay, now we stop work, now we're a couple almost. But when you're doing yachting, your hours are not 9 to 5, you know, it's so like if I'm working on lates, so I'll be working past that time and then Jared's not, so the time that we would normally get to spend together, I'm still working and he's not. And even when you're not working, you're both not working, you're still around other crew, so you can't like cuddle,
you can't
and
be yourself.
Let's, you know, there's none of that. So and that eventually after a long time can get faded, the line between we're working together and we're a couple.
Correct.
And that can be really hard
Because you're not sleeping next to each other, you're just
bunk
in your own bunks. So it's like it is one of those where the affection of a relationship gets diminished or gets watered down because you're constantly in a work environment, but also you're dating somebody like me and I struggle to switch off between work and like relationship. I know I'm being open here, but it's just one of those where I'm like, I'm at work, I'm always, there's alarms going off or this is happening, or it's just, it is difficult and it will test your relationship. It doesn't matter how long you've been together, you'll be put in a position where your relationship is tested.
So what is your most difficult thing about working with me on a yacht? I don't think I've ever asked you this actually.
No, but I think
this is quite interesting.
I think you know the answer to this. If Becca has a down day, I find it really difficult for me to remain like vibrant and happy and like doing my work and to try and be the supportive boyfriend of trying to make sure that Becca's smile goes like this as opposed to being upset. Everybody has up days and down days. I have down days, Becca has down days, every member on this crew has down days. So it's one of those where, you know, I've got to now be supportive, or Becca's got to be supportive of me while trying to remain professional, and it's just, I think that's the hardest part for me, and it's like, I can feel homesick and then Becca's like, come on, get over it, or she can feel homesick and it's the same thing, and it's like, it's just one of those where it's difficult to do everything, you know, and then here I am making videos, so it's like, then I got to balance the time between Rebecca and making videos, but thankfully she supports me, and it's just one of those where it's going to test your relationship, but at the same time, I think, you know, overall, we're not complaining about anything that we've just said on this camera.
No, we're just being realistic.
We're here, and we're super grateful, and it's given us opportunities, and hopefully it'll give us more opportunities.
I think it's important to like address these aspects of it, because you can look at our Instagram and be like, oh my god, they live the dream, like this is amazing, they travel the world together, they're working on a beautiful yacht, and like obviously those moments exist because we share them, and there are aspects of it that are amazing, which is why we're here. but there's a lot that you don't see. I mean, imagine if I sat on my
course.
phone all day and all I did was complain about our relationship being tested, and it would like no one's gonna do that.
No one's gonna follow
no one
you
wants
either.
Exactly. Like you're not gonna see that aspect of it. So that's why
100%.
we're saying this now, because
Yeah.
you need to have a realistic approach when you're considering doing this, because it is going to test your relationship. So you need to consider all of this.
100%. You're gonna have people commenting, and you always will have people commenting that's like, oh, they don't know what they have. 100%. I understand why you would.
Yachting sounds 101.
I understand why you would say that, but you need to realize every industry has a high and low, and you know there are lows on this boat. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's, I don't know.
I think we
That's
hit
not
it.
always what's your best part? Let's try to talk about something very positive now.
Best part is that I don't have to be away from you. That was the whole thing.
Okay,
Is
yeah.
that we can travel.
That's the obvious one.
I mean, Bex and I have woken up at 5 a.m. in the morning to go for a hike up a mountain in the middle of
That's
Montenegro,
nice.
just to be able to spend that time together. Nobody else was with us. Nobody else was
Yes.
awake.
If you're a morning person,
Yeah.
this will be easier for you.
Yeah, 100%. 5:20 a.m. and we're heading up there. How you feeling?
I feel like a drone.
No drone needed up here. Almost there. Oh, almost there. Okay, let's go. Woo! But you get your time. When you get your time, it's flipping
5
awesome.
a.m.
It's really awesome, and we've traveled together, and we've made money together, and we've saved together, and we've got the same like times off because the summer ends on October. So the best part is to be able to not be separated, and that's inevitably what we didn't want to do, and why I think so many people ask us, because that's what they want.
Yeah.
I think we addressed the majority of what a lot of you guys were asking. I think in
Anything
final, I'd like to say the jobs exist. They're very rare, and you are taking a risk by doing it, and you need to make sure that you're willing to accept those circumstances of that risk.
And willing to sleep in bunk beds.
And willing to sleep in bunk beds and all that stuff. What's the job like working together as a couple? I don't know you as a couple, so you need to ask yourself that question. Can you handle it? Can you handle
Have
each
you
other
lived together?
for that period of time?
If you have not lived together and you have not worked together,
Yeah.
maybe reconsider.
I mean, yeah, our relationship's very different. Rebecca and I have not spent more than 3 weeks away from each other consecutively, and we've only done that ever once. So it's like, it's, you know, relationship for relationship. If you have any more questions, please pop them down below. You know, Rebecca's Instagram's also tagged down below. All of our details and stuff like that. Just go and have a look at each other's perspectives, I suppose, of yachting and like, you know, what we get up to. And if you have any more questions, please do comment down below. This is the first sit-down video I've done, and obviously the first one with Becca. If you'd like to see more, please give it a thumbs up and let us know, and we will do more. These are very easy for me, so please let me know. And
Wink, wink, 2 more.
yeah, do more. I'd love to. I'm happy to do more sit-down videos if you would like them. So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next one.